Well, hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Laughter for All podcast. I am Comedian Nazareth. Thank you so much for joining us. And first of all, I want to thank you guys for making us number 56 on the top comedy podcast on Apple Podcast, iTunes. So we thank you for that. And as you know, we sometimes have comedians come on the show, lots of comedians, and to keep the name Laughter for All. But also, since the pandemic, we've been inviting people who are really can help you, can give you some wisdom and advice that will really help you during the pandemic and in your entire life. And today is no exception. I just asked a good friend of mine, and I don't know why those earpods are just popping right now. Uh, so maybe I will use the computer ones and instead of having to worry about the podcast. So we don't need. So, all right. So my guest is Mr. David Maracine. He is assists taxpayers and small businesses with taxes in Los Angeles and the surrounding communities. Whether you are an individual or a local business or around Los Angeles, David has years of valuable experience as an IRS registered tax preparer. Also, he works with my good friend Phil Laboratory. He's also the son-in-law of Phil Laboratory, which that doesn't add anything to his tax experience. It just keeps keeps him out of trouble. So, David, welcome to this show. How are you, brother?
Yeah, it's great to be on, my friend. Great to see you.
Let me ask you this. I gotta say this. Your wedding, you and Lisa's wedding, was the best wedding, the most elegant wedding I've ever been to. We
Well,
loved it.
part of that was you were our featured comedian, so thank you for keeping everyone entertained and laughing. But yeah, absolutely, it was the most
Right,
beautiful event
right.
of my life.
And I wanted to ask you. You were born in Romania, right?
Actually, my parents were. I was born stateside.
I got to meet your dad, Yusuf, and
That's
he's
right.
with the Lord. He early
That's
this year. What was it like? What was it like for like what? How old was he when he came to the
Yeah,
country?
absolutely. Yeah. So, huge life story, in our family. My father and mother came to the U.S. with my nine brothers, and it was just a world of apart from where we are today in terms of freedom, in terms of economic opportunity. Being in a fully controlled communist country that basically told you, how much money you could make, what type of car you could drive, what you could buy at the store. It controlled every aspect of their life to fully embrace freedom and liberty in the America. So my father was he loved America, just loved our country. And as you know, Naz, he passed away last year.
I
Uh,
know. So
in
now that means when he came in here, no kids,
No, no, we had my nine brothers. My nine brothers were born there.
but you were not born there either.
No, I wasn't. I was born in Orange County.
So
Yeah,
you're number 10, right?
I'm number 10, boy number 10.
Wow, what is it like having 10 siblings and you're the only citizen legal? No, I'm just kidding.
It's very competitive. I'll tell you that. Absolutely.
And you graduated from USC. I mean,
That's
that's a
right.
great school, private school. And
Absolutely.
so how was that trajectory in your life? Or like how did you from
Yeah.
being the 10th in the family and
Right. I mean, I just had have an awesome family and support system growing up. So we just grew up with a nurturing, loving, and my dad always told me, "You gotta learn, son. You gotta educate. You gotta do a lot better than I did." Was his philosophy. So he definitely stressed that as one of our life goals for sure. So yeah, he definitely emphasized education, and early on, I saw the value of what the world of accounting and specifically tax accounting can provide for people. So absolutely, it was a game changer from the beginning.
So, I mean, every time I met you, ever since I met you, you're always smiling. You're always in a great mood. You're always happy. What is your secret? I mean, you're an accountant.
You know, I listen to your comedy now. That's the secret. No, absolutely. You know, the joy that God gives us in life is what, propels me, personally. And just to look at the positive upside of everything, given, my family history and everything that we've been to, every day is an absolute blessing, an absolute gift from God. So to be on this earth, healthy, breathing, even my wife, who you know and love, Lisa,
Lisa.
we were just reflecting on the past year of the pandemic and all the negative headlines. And throughout all of that, we just saw God's hand of blessing that was on us. And we have a son now.
I know.
You got to
Prince
see. So
William. I love that kid.
Sir William, yeah, you got to see, and we bought our home, and Lisa's teaching at Chapman, and so God is in the business of blessing, and so we got to be a part of and see that in the midst of a year that many considered, just a bum year,
So in 1 year, your wife got her PhD.
Right,
You bought a house and you had a baby.
right.
That's amazing.
Not bad, right?
What was it like, the feeling? Like you have 9 siblings.
Yeah.
You just had your, how many babies are you planning on having?
Not nine, that's for sure. Well, I mean, if we could do four, if we could have a total of four, and maybe even adopt it, because that's
Oh,
a big need too. So whatever God wants is always my go-to answer. But definitely, we love our little William. So to see another one or two, come about would be amazing.
what is it like, right? You have a first baby.
Right.
Everyone knows the first baby because those are the memories you won't remember number two and number three and number four's things, but you remember everything about number one and
Number one.
number one baby. Now, but how is that with right now? You have tax season. You
Right.
just finished with corporate yesterday, so thank you for even taking the time. This is crazy
Yeah.
time, but I wanted to get you on the show while people are still filing their taxes, so they can
Sure.
benefit from what you're doing. But what is it like not being, how many hours do you work during this tax season?
Yeah, so it's definitely a crazy work week. Usually it's 80-hour weeks, and we also work Saturdays. Last week we also had to work Sundays, just to, meet the demand. There never before has taxes been such a huge part of how people live and deal in this pandemic. So yeah, we
How
got,
is that?
yeah.
How is that? How is that? What have changed tax wise because of the pandemic?
Yeah, so in large part, Nas, the pandemic largely was implemented through the way the government wanting to help people and reaching people. The tangible way they did that was through the IRS, which is like the only the tangible connection people have to the federal government. And so all the laws, the CARES Act, the America First Act, which just passed last week, all of them were processed, were delivered through the IRS. So the IRS became the custodian of helping people, in addition to the SBA, which is a little bit different aspect with businesses. But IRS was the primary vehicle that people interacted with the IRS in order to get their stimulus checks, to get, different benefits. And so, yeah, for that reason, we as CPAs had to take on that whole capacity of translating what the IRS was saying and what you need to do to, actually, giving people, tangible help and assistance in navigating through that.
So for an what do you call it? For an individual, what has what has IRS done different that will help an individual who's listening right now? A single person maybe, or a family, a
Yeah,
couple.
absolutely. So I know everyone's heard of the stimulus, and the stimulus has been a big part people's conversations and need to file taxes. So that's definitely one of the tangible things. And just to touch on the bit of the details of that, there was so far 3 rounds of stimuluses that were passed. There was one last year, the initial one of 1,200 per individual.
Right.
Then you had 600, which was delivered at the end of the year, kind of showed up in people's accounts in early January. And then now we have the third one for $1,400 per individual. And
Is
that's,
that coming? It didn't.
yeah,
It's not.
it's already showing up. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's
I
already
see.
been released. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so it's showing up for some people now. Now, I just to emphasize that money that people are getting, they don't have to pay taxes on it, right?
Correct. So that's not a taxable event. It's treated like a rebate or something that you got as a credit. So it's definitely not. And one of the things I wanted to highlight, Naz, and related to that, I hear so many times, some clients, oh, I never got my stimulus.
Right.
I never, I think I'm supposed to get it, but I didn't get it. And 2020 is actually the year that lays the baseline in terms of whether you can receive those funds or not. So 2020 is the year that says to the IRS, communicates to them and says, I was eligible because I qualified. So we actually have been using, and the IRS has designed the 2020 tax return to capture any missed stimulus. So you could actually, on your 2020 filing, designate, that you did not receive round one, you didn't receive round two, and you'll get it in the form of a larger refund this year.
Oh, you will get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Now, what about what do you call it? It's are people who file taxes already, are there gonna be any delays in getting their refunds because of what's going on with the
As
COVID?
far as we can tell, I recommend people file an e-file when they file rather than filing with paper. And most of everyone's filing, e-file anyway. But
Right.
I don't foresee there being any issues. That I mean, that's not been communicated in any way that we should expect any delays in processing. So yeah, as far as I know, everything is going smoothly on the electronic side of things. The IRS was really caught off guard with COVID last year. They were really unprepared. I mean, they have some computer systems going back to like John F. Kennedy days, with the punch cards and everything, and they're like rubber band together and stuff, and no capacity for having people work at home or any of that stuff. So earlier this year, we got a notification that they were still processing close to 10 million tax returns from
Wow.
last year. So they were really, behind. So that's why they even, delayed the start to the tax season this year for that reason, just to
Oh,
give
they
them.
delayed it to when? Instead of April
It,
15th?
Oh, no, no. April 15th is still the deadline. The start of the season, though, they wouldn't start accepting any returns until February 15th. So,
I see.
yeah.
See that. Now, here's a question, just like off the hook. And if you see me looking at my phone, is I'm trying to read the questions that people have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. People keep saying if you buy an electric car, you get that much in rebates. And explain that to me. If someone
Yeah,
wants to buy an electric, like a Tesla, for example.
absolutely. Yeah. So the way the electric vehicle, it's called a plug-in credit on the IRS. So in order to access that credit, so many credits were given to each manufacturer. So Tesla got, so many credits, Hyundai and Ford and Mercedes and all of the car manufacturers that are now creating plug-in vehicles got credits. So they're all searchable. So, in any car dealer you would deal with, that's one of their main selling points is, you're going to get a tax credit. So a lot of them are eligible for the tax credits. You just have to search the type of car you have, the year, and as long as it's a new car, you're not buying it used, you would be able to claim that credit on your tax return. And with that, it would increase your refund by that amount. Um,
Okay. So you're going to get an increase your refund.
Correct.
And if you have a lot, you don't have a lot of deductibles, and this will go towards the deductible. But it's not like someone gonna hand you a check when you walk into the car dealer,
Right.
or remove it off the top. They're not. It's a tax credit.
Exactly. Exactly. And Tesla has used up all of them. I mean, they're the number one plug-in electric car. So if you buy a Tesla, there's no more credits on those.
Oh, that's good to know. Did you hear that, people? If you bought a Tesla, you're not getting any tax credit anymore.
Yeah. So as of the end of the year in 2019, there's no more. So for 2020 tax year, there's no more tax credits. And we had a number of clients just buying them, just so that they could
Oh,
make do with that credit that they were getting. So yeah, it was a nice incentive while it lasted, but it's pretty much gone for Tesla at this point.
wow. People are saying you are the smiling accountant. They love that. I need a royal and honest. If you're interested, DM with your Cash App or PayPal. What? Someone, let's see. You still haven't, wife still hasn't received any stimulus funds. I haven't received the second or the third one. I thought there would be a credit somewhere on the 2020 tax return to claim those as a refund, but there isn't one.
Mhm.
From Mark Warwick.
Yeah. So, Mark, it might be just the tax software you're using, but yeah, it is part of the new tax law. And the IRS, to their credit, they're scrambling because even now there's a number of other changes that came into effect, even with the other tax law that was just passed this last week. It's called America's First. For anyone that was on unemployment, one of the big breaks that came through that tax bill is the first $10,200 of unemployment received in 2020 is not taxable as long as your income is below $150,000 total income.
Well, that's great. There's
So
I
yeah, that's a new thing that was just released this last week.
Yeah. See, I've never ever filed for unemployment. I don't know why, but that's it. I have a question for you. I know where you stand with the Lord. You're a wonderful Christian man. Do you think it is biblical to try to avoid paying higher taxes?
Great question. I get that question quite a bit. Jesus, in his wisdom, and I think we all, caught on to was, he was asked if it's even right to pay taxes, period. And he asked for that coin, and they said, whose image is this? And he says, Caesar. So he said, you give to Caesar what's Caesar's, and you give to God what's God. That being said, the more we can give to God and the more we can give to God and less to Caesar, that you're actually benefiting with charitable contributions. The IRS code, has means and ways that are lawful for you to reduce your tax bill. So, to the extent that you are wise in the application and understanding of the tax law, so that you could pay a lower tax bill, that's perfectly lawful and fine to do, and it's actually, you get rewarded for it at the same time. So, we famously say, there was a judge, appellate judge that was judging court cases related to taxes, and he said there's two types of tax law: the tax law for the tax law for those that know the law, and tax law for those that don't know the law.
That's good. Okay, here's a question from Javier. What's the best way to contact the IRS if you haven't received your refund after 21 days?
Yeah, so we've seen that quite a bit. In terms of the overall refund, the IRS phones are famously jammed. You'll call and they say, it's too many calls, and it's really unfortunate. Uh, we offer our clients the ability to have us call for them on their behalf. So I recommend you have a tax professional that can do that for you because they have a practitioner priority line and they kind of get priority access to the IRS. That's not a widely known tidbit there, but yeah, tax practitioners have a faster way to communicate with the IRS. So that'd be my recommendation. Don't do let someone else do that work for you and focus on earning and creating your financial future.
Now, this is a perfect time, and I know you are my witness. I don't make a penny off Phil Laboratory, but you work for Phil Laboratory CPA, and I was really, this is my first year, even though I've been friends with you guys forever.
Yeah,
First year, I was so impressed with how fast, how organized, and the amount of refund I was getting. I mean, really, I did not expect to get any money back this year because I didn't have all the travel, the airlines, all the hotels, all the other expenses on the road, and I wasn't expecting anything. And
right.
boom, you got me more than when I paid you guys, which to me, I was very happy. Plus, you helped with the PPP, which was really
Yes,
great. And so,
absolutely.
here's a question from what do you call it? It comes from Carmela. I said, I've never filed 2019 taxes. I will do my 2020 taxes. Will I still get all stimulus checks in 2020 and 2021?
That's, as far as we know, that's the way to do it because the baseline for figuring out if you even qualify for the stimulus is the 2020 tax year filing. And I also wanted to add, there's also a California stimulus that's going to be coming out, Naz. So that's a new one. It's a lot lower threshold in terms of qualifying for it. But I think as long as the combined income for a family is less than $75,000, it would qualify. And then for an individual, I'll get the amount. I don't want to say the wrong amount, but I think it was below $30,000 for sure. Um, there's a California stimulus that would be based off of the 2020 filing as well. So I definitely recommend um, getting that filing in for sure.
All right, let's see. How do I know if I have to file a tax return? And because I have two kids, one 22, one
Right.
20, and the other people who really didn't make money this year, or some people who only had unemployment, should who should file taxes? How do I know if I have to file a tax
Yeah,
return?
that's a great question. So in terms of I mean, what's called a filing requirement, do I have a filing requirement? So usually as long as for federal tax purposes, if your income is less than $12,200, you typically don't have a requirement. For California, it's a lower threshold. It's just over $4,000. So if you make more than $4,000, you should file a return because
Really?
California anyway. Yeah.
For
So
California?
yeah, exactly.
Huh. Wow.
So usually if you have 4,000 or more dollars, that would be kind of the threshold to qualify, I mean, to need to file just so that you can demonstrate to California. And yeah, I mean, California, they're a little aggressive, Naz, and I think you know that too,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of their taxing authority. I have clients that come in that haven't filed for years, and and not the IRS, but Franchise Tax Board, that's the California agency. They'll say,
Yeah.
"Oh, really? You haven't filed? We'll file for you. And by the way, you owe us $8,000 each year, and we're going to start collecting what we can just so that we keep you true to filing your taxes."
Oh,
So
how sweet.
yeah, we have that happen all the time, So I do recommend, if you don't have a filing requirement, I don't think you should have anything to worry about. But just be mindful of California is the bottom line.
So if you live in California, people, and you make over 4,000, which nowadays you don't, most likely. No, I'm just kidding. You need to file. You need, or else, the franchise tax board will come after you. And I know you guys, for laboratory IRS problem solver, you guys can help someone who's been hit by that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, a question. Somebody asked, they said they're individuals or they're married couple and they have dental work done this year. Do they claim that on their taxes?
Yeah. So the way medical out-of-pocket medical expenses work, And especially dental. You can't really get insured for dental anymore besides your regular cleaning and things like that. Major dental work is, substantially out of pocket. So the way that works is, it's as long as you itemize your deductions, it potentially could be included as a deduction on, as a medical deduction. It just has to exceed a pretty high threshold. It has to exceed, the calculation is 7.5% of your AGI, your adjusted gross income. So as long as those costs exceed 7.5% of that threshold, all I recommend is just put it. The calculator will,
We'll
will do
figure
that
it
for
out.
you. Yeah, absolutely.
What things people don't know about that they can claim in their taxes as a deduction? That,
Yeah,
what do you
one
think? There's a lot.
one one commonly overlooked one now, I would say, is the health savings account. Which is a really nice break for anyone that has medical expenses on an ongoing basis. So, you basically put pre-tax dollars, so money that has not been taxed, into an account that you could use for medical expenses, glasses, dental, therapeutic massages, uh,
Oh,
chiropractic, all of those things. And so you basically get a debit card and you use that debit card to pay all of those, the CVS pharmacy and everything else.
wait. This is powerful. Okay, so you open any account, or it's called a health
It's
savings account?
called an HSA account. Yes.
And where do you open that? Where?
You could do, there's so many providers, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, maybe your bank
Oh,
even has one. Yeah. And
it's called
basically,
an HSA account, and it
HSA
doesn't.
account
Okay, and it doesn't. But you have to use every penny you put in there for health
for
reason
medical purposes.
or
Yeah.
medical purposes. Glasses, dental, and anyone can do it. You don't have to be a
Absolutely.
company.
And it's nice because you get a tax break for whatever amount you contribute into the account. And there's limits. I think for a family, you could contribute up to like $7,200. But you get 7,200 of tax-free money to pay all your co-pays, all of those things, any out-of-pocket costs.
But you can't put your monthly payment to the insurance like Blue Shield or Blue Cross. You can't put that in the HSA
It's not
account.
for premiums, right? So it's
It's
just for
not for premium.
out-of-pocket. Yeah, it's for
Oh,
out-of-pocket costs. Yeah.
awesome. That's a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
I just benefited from that myself.
Yeah, and
Oh,
what's nice is that money grows with the investment, tax free, and upon retirement, it's also free. So it's a nice, commonly overlooked, low hanging fruit in terms of tax break, especially if you have recurring medical expenses like massages.
what if you're paying credit cards? Let's say you have a credit card and you finish the year and you're paying for it from the next year. Is
Mhm.
that deductible or no?
So you paid for medical out of credit cards,
No,
or
not medical, just regular. Let's say you have,
I see. So you just paid down your credit card bill.
yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, like any good CPA will tell you, Naz, is it depends. So it depends on what those credit card charges were related to. And those charges specifically could potentially be deductible. It just depends on what was personal versus what was, for use that is deductible under the tax law. But I mean, as you know, at IRS Problem Solvers, um, we like to see all the data and then from that point look at what is applicable, because many times deductions are overlooked. So it's a very common thing to happen, that you just don't know it was deductible. So another great reason why you want someone in your corner, that's going to know how things apply in different circumstances.
Now, if someone didn't file by April 15th, they didn't have time. Do they have to file an extension? Or,
Mhm.
I mean, someone who has no clue about that, they go to H&R Block. Is
Right.
H&R the hemorrhoid and restoration block? What, are they still in business?
I think they're still on the block somewhere. Yeah.
Somewhere they take you around the block for a while. That's funny. Oh,
Yeah.
so you can file an extension.
Absolutely. So,
You can download it online or something?
yeah, so just to clarify, an extension just gives you more time to file. so that you're meeting, your statutory due date. So it gives you an additional 6 months to file. So instead of filing on April 15th, you now have the ability to file by October 15th.
Mm.
However, if you are not in a position where you're going to be owing the IRS or, California any money, you technically don't have to extend because your tax liability is zero and
Mm.
you're on the receiving end. So when it doesn't cut both ways. So if you owe them money, it's a problem. If they owe you money, it's not a
No
problem.
problem. Of course, of course. And let's see. Let me see if any questions I got. I guess it's like okay. Age understood around the block. Okay, this is okay. Let me ask you a question from me. This year, like if you apply for a job or you hire someone, you have to fill a W-4, right?
Right.
And the old W-4 was you put single, married, single hates his wife, wife doesn't like her husband but wants to file jointly to save money. And then you put the number of dependent, and you can lie. In your dad's case, he can put 12. God
And he's
bless his
telling the
heart,
truth.
and he's telling the truth. But some people used to put, like, you used to put 5, 6, 7, just so you don't
Right.
have to get deduction. Now
Sure.
that form was changed this year.
Oh my goodness, it's a nightmare.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, you basically have to do your tax return again on that form in order to, determine what level. And, the problem I find is like trying to customize it, in terms of how much you're actually going to withhold. So the nice thing I found is some payroll processors still offer the calculation off of the old methodology. So depending on who's doing your payroll, or you could ask in your payroll department, you could still use the old form. They might still be able to do that.
Hmm. So there's a difference between head of household and a married couple. Married, there
Yeah,
is.
there's different tax brackets for both cases. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. So head of household means you
You're
pay for
basically like a
everything.
single parent, or basically you're in, it's not, you're not married, but you do have a dependent.
Shoot, I put that in my one of the things that I for my own comedy crusade to receive. I put head of household. I'm not the head of household. We're all equal in the sight of God. Um, let's see. How do I know what tax form should I take the standard deductions or itemize? What do you think? Some people like I don't know.
Yeah, it depends. If you're a giver, you love to sponsor and support causes, there might be a good chance you might be able to itemize. But the standard deduction now is $12,400. So it just depends.
Right. Here's a question. What if I lost a W-2 of 2019? How can I get another one?
Yeah. Common problem. The surefire way to do that, the IRS has a system called the Transcript system. So what you can do is go to the IRS and request what's called your 2019 wage and income transcript. And it basically will pull everything that was reported under your social security number for that tax year. And you can find your missed W-2 there.
And you can do that online.
Yep.
And how many years would that take to get it from the IRS?
It depends, but yeah, we do that for clients. Especially those that they moved, they were in a divorce, or their husband had a snoring problem and it caused the wife to be delirious. That's still my wife's favorite one because she relates to it the most. The pillow fight gone wrong.
Oh no. Uh, by the way, I want to tell you people while you're watching and listening that whatever is shared here, the answers has nothing to do with Laughter for All podcast, and we're not responsible for you when you file and say, "Hey, I heard that on the podcast." What we're doing is just giving you suggestions and advice. It's up to you to, if you want to make sure you have questions that you need, you can go to your tax preparer or go to Phil Laboratory CPA and do that. I have a question from Sarah. It says, I know that many small businesses have had a lot of trouble this past year. What advice would you have for small businesses?
Mhm. Absolutely. So yeah, we've seen that, in reality as well. So basically, a lot of the programs that are out there to help small businesses, I would say just make sure you're taking advantage of every single one, and don't hesitate, or don't feel guilty, or any condemnation when it comes to those things, because they're there to help you. They're
Like
there.
what example? What kind of stuff like for
So
small?
there was the SBA has a number of programs. So the CARES Act that was passed last year was intended largely for small businesses. So there's the PPP loan, which is supposed to help with payroll, but it also helps if you just have what's called a sole proprietorship and you receive not W-2 income, but income from sales or from a contract. So it does help in that regard. There's also a California grant that is now fully funded, and I know they've been in funding small businesses. I did see a number of clients that had their cities had small business
Mm.
grants. So their cities took the initiative to be proactive and to provide some assistance for them. So there's a lot out there. I don't know all of them. I know the major ones, at the federal and state level, but there's even local programs that are there for helping people.
Remember last year they had the EIDL and
That's right.
they gave each one 2,000 per employee or so. Is this happen again in 2020 or 2021?
So it happened in a different way. The EIDL is still there. So there was two parts to the IDL. You could get a grant for every employee that you have as a business. And then
Mhm.
secondly, you were given a low interest loan with like a 30-year payback term. What's happened this year is they've done what are called targeted EIDL grants, because the maximum EIDL grant was $10,000. So as long as you're in what's called the economic impact zone, economic development zone, you were able to receive that full $10,000 as a non-taxable grant.
If you have 5 employees, right?
No, if you have one or more.
Really? That's so even if you receive the first one, the
If
EIDL.
you, yeah, so if you received, say you received
Uh-oh,
2,000
I
the
lost
first
your
round.
sound.
Oh,
I
is
lost the sound. I don't know what happened.
it still there?
Okay, let's see.
Hello?
Okay, can you hear me?
I,
Uh, all right. I can't hear David. Let's see. My bad. Okay, here we are.
yeah,
Here-
we're good.
We're good. I'm sorry. Okay. Uh, okay. Now for let's say someone start a business, for example, like hey, they can cater from their home.
Sure.
Should they go open a business account, go apply for all these, EIN number and do all that, or how much money do you have to make a year before you can get to that level or to do it?
Yeah, so a lot of these programs were designed to help existing businesses. So as long as you're in business, by sometime in late 2019, early 2020, you would be able to participate in them in terms of the grant. So there are some conditions, that it probably would have been a business that was in existence at the time.
No, but I mean, right now, let's someone starting a
I
business
see.
yesterday. How much income should they be getting before they start
I see.
calling themselves a business and filing as a business?
Sure, sure. So yeah, it just depends, because each step you take will either um, create efficiencies or potentially higher costs. So we just say, if as long as things are simple, and they're simple tax, and I refer to that simplicity being affecting their taxes. So as long as they're simple, up to like a $20,000, $30,000 revenue range, you're probably okay doing things at like an individual level. Beyond that, you probably would want to consider incorporation, creating a corporation, creating an LLC, and getting formally set up so that you can take advantage of everything that is offered through that. It also reduces any audit exposure and that sort of thing when you do that at that income
Mhm.
range.
Okay, let's see if there's other questions. I do have. Okay, Carmel said, "What if you receive a workman comp settlement in 2020? Do I have to put that in my taxes?"
hmm Usually, workers' comp settlements are not taxable. So, because anything related to physical injury is usually not taxable.
Okay, let's see. Question: comedians. There's a lot of comedians who watch the show.
Sure.
Some of them are, like me. Some are S corporation. They don't get a salary. They just take money. Some people are just, what they never paid taxes because their income wasn't enough to, and they had a lot of expenses and stuff. Can those still apply for a PPP and get some anything?
Yeah, so the new PPP rules, that's a great question, has basically made it that it was be determined based off of your gross income item, not your bottom line. So as long as you had income, that income number, that top line number would be the number that the calculation was based off of, not the bottom line number. So even though you had expenses, as long as you're as generating income in that capacity, you can qualify and be underwritten on that number.
Okay, so what if you're a comedian or some entertainer and you have, okay, so you have this little corporation or S corporation, whatever, but also you have your individual income.
hmm
Do you apply twice to the PPP? Do you apply for your business and you apply for yourself?
hmm Yeah, so typically it's limited to one per person. So it just depends on how you're set up, because I know that was a little bit of an issue for people, became an issue for people navigating around. So I would recommend whatever, provides you the maximum assistance would be the way to go.
Mm. So pick the one that will give you the maximum and
Absolutely.
apply for that. Okay. Let's see. Other questions I have. Biden is increasing what expected to be even bigger costing as much as for turn won't rely on just government debt or funding. Okay. They said that they're increasing the taxes on corporation and also on individuals making over what 400,000.
You,
What
they,
is
they,
that?
they, they like that number recently. So 400,000 has been kind of the number to look at. So yeah, there is a discussion underway right now that is looking at paying for all of the stimulus and all of the money that has been, basically doled out in this period. And so in order to basically fund that over the 10-year period, we're potentially looking at higher corporate tax rates and higher tax, increases. And I think it's the highest put, uh, proposed increase since 1993. So for a long time, we haven't probably seen taxes that are going to go up to that amount. So yeah, definitely something we're going to be working to see how to address in the best way possible.
So, what can you do as a business owner or a business CEO to do to help you
hmm
this year? Any new tax credits? Anything new that's coming up this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So there
That
was something called an employee retention credit. So basically, the way that works is if you were impacted by COVID and you were hiring people and keeping them employed, and if you had to pay someone even though they were out on leave because of COVID, you're getting a credit for that. So it's a maximum of I think $500 a day for a potential of up to $10,000.
oh,
So they're pretty significant credits. So it does work through the payroll process. But yeah, that is something to help. And that was one thing that was extended as well.
Good. If you have a business like a corporation or something, you're an individual or something, or just a small company, and you buy a car for yourself,
Yeah.
should you lease it? Should you buy it? Should you put
Yeah.
it in the name of the business? What's the
Right.
best way?
Great question. So the one that, of all those options, the one that would give you the most potential tax break would be any ownership relationship to the car. So as long as it's financed and you put $1 down, but you're on the hook for the next 72 months or whatever the case may be, you can fully deduct the full value of that car on the taxes for that in the
On
yearly.
the first year you bought it,
Correct. Correct.
the full amount.
The full amount.
So do you recommend that people buy the car or lease it then?
Uh, it depends, yeah. So if they need the deduction, the purchase would make more sense.
Okay,
Uh,
and then make it for 72 months instead of 60 months, or that,
whatever the case is, yeah. I mean,
whatever the case
yeah.
is.
And usually we advise whatever gives you the most favorable financing terms.
And how do you know that? I mean, what price car should you get that will give you the best benefit?
Yeah, so I mean, it all depends on your overall tax picture because, you know, if you buy a $60,000 car, but your income was only $10,000,
Yeah.
you
Like, I
know,
don't have
you're
to pay taxes for 6 years.
not. So, it just whatever makes sense. So yeah, it should be, you probably should, have a discussion with us before you do that so we can, kind of give you an idea of how to best treat it going forward.
All right. For someone who have 9 siblings, parents are immigrants from Romania, love this country. You can. How did you come to know Jesus as your Lord
Yeah,
and Savior?
I was 8 years old at a summer camp that my brothers and I went to. And as soon as they made that call, I just knew in my heart I needed to stand up and make that public declaration. And I was a tear streaming down my face. And, my brothers came and, circled all around me. And just it was a beautiful moment. I still remember being 8 years old at summer camp in August. Yeah,
In California.
in California. Yeah.
And you haven't, had like this other teenage moment, or you just stayed the course?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a life. I recognized the gravity of that moment. Yeah, and glory to God. I really took it to heart. So I mean, by all means, I was raised in a godly home with loving parents and a family that just encouraged my spiritual development. But yeah, it was for an ever choice.
You know, I want you to encourage the people as a Christian man,
Yeah.
not just as an accountant or a CPA. Just
Mhm.
encourage the people here before I close and talk about Phil Laboratories CPA.
Sure.
But go
Absolutely.
ahead, just give people some encouragement from your walk.
Sure. Absolutely. So, our life is in God's hands. Our steps have been ordered, and by design, God looks for us to be looking to Him as the source and giver of all life and of everything. And I got the privilege to go to Israel Naz a couple of years ago, and one thing that I really took away from that experience was we were in the place where Jesus had his Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus in that first of many times he spoke to people said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And I never really understood what that meant, to be poor in spirit, because poor is not something you associate with necessarily being something very good. But poor in spirit means that you are so utterly reliant, so utterly dependent on God for for everything that you need in life, that there is like a beggar on the street. That's how you are when it comes to needing God in every area of your life, finances, in your family, in your health. We really need God, And I see that now more than ever before. There's never been more of a time where we need God more than ever before in our society, in our country, in our families, and in our finances. So I wanted to just encourage people with rely on God. He is there 24/7. His mercies are new every morning. There is no condemnation. His love is endless, and He just desires for us to experience the depth of His love in new ways every day.
Amen, amen. Thank you. That was deep. Awesome. Well, guys, if you need to file your taxes and you find out you owe a lot, just get married and file or find a house and go on top of the house and say I'm the head of the household and you can qualify. But if you need really, if you have problems with the IRS, I cannot. I say this as a friend of Phil and David, Phil Laboratory CPA. They really, really can help you because they have what, four tax agents that used to work for the IRS now work for them. How
Absolutely.
many employees do you guys have?
We have 31 now.
31 accountants. So this is a high functioning, fast moving. I went in there and within like 15, 20 minutes, they were done with my taxes. They did everything and boom, they said, hey, you're getting that much a refund. I want to encourage you, if you haven't filed, if you need to look at them, call Phil Laboratory CPA. What's the phone number, David?
8776 solver. 8776 solver.
8776 Solver, Solver,
And
and
stopirspain.com.
what
Stopirspain.
stopirspain.com, stopirspain.com, and tell them, hey, I heard Nazareth and David on the Laughter for All podcast, and I just have I and they said I can get a discount, and and so how can you help me? I really
That was a
encourage you
great
to do
joke,
that.
then. I'm kidding.
No, no, I know. And yeah, because as I said, I was in a relationship with another tax accountant for almost 34 years. He did my taxes. And when I went to you guys, I felt so vulnerable because it's like, this is a friend for years that I'm going to date now. And then they have to see me with numbers, my naked numbers. And I felt uncomfortable. But praise God, you guys were so good and so
Amen.
wonderful. So
Amen.
thank you so much, David, for taking the time. Enjoy that, Prince William, your
Yeah,
beautiful baby.
absolutely.
And may God bless you.
Yeah, appreciate
And we'll
it.
talk later. Thank you so
Bless you,
much.
brother. Thank
And
you so much.
you're
Absolutely.
welcome. And again, for some of you who are watching, going, this is a laughter for all. Why are you guys being serious talking about taxes? Because we're trying to help you. And if you want to laugh, there's two ways you can do that. You can go to Comedian Nazareth TV and watch all the funny videos you want. But also you can every night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, we have a show called Live with Naz on Facebook under Comedian Nazareth's page. And you can be funny with us, you can laugh with us, and you get be encouraged. We'll pray for you. Just a great show to join in. So join us every weeknight at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on Live with Naz. This podcast is also every week, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. But also you can go to laughterforallpodcast.com and also watch all the last 76 podcasts we had. Love you guys. Thank you so much, David. Again, thank you.
Love you,
Say
brother.
hello to Phil Laboratory. Love you guys. Bye.